Yes.
So there are others who even lost their life during childbirth. And in my community, we call it omolra. We don't even take it seriously. We believe her day came and she passed on.
Okay.
So for them, it's just
so
okay.
we take it as qadar of Allah.
Yeah, of course.
Now, thank you so much for that, Sadia. I just want to come to you, Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar. The reason as to why I had Sadia start this conversation is because I wanted us to understand what FGM is, and at the same time, I wanted us to look at the effects to see, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Now, Sheikh Ali Rashid Omar, you know, you being a board member of the anti-FGM board, you find that some Muslims say that this is Islamic. Give us your perspective.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa man wala amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are inquiring about the Islamic perspective?
Yes.
In fact, if we have to go back historically, the issue which is true about Islam is that there is nothing on the Quran relating to FGM or even when we come to Hadith, we find that man's circumcision is very clear. That our father Ibrahim, whose fitra we follow, is the first man who has circumcised himself when he was 80 years old. And we have a tradition from the Prophet that the Prophet was circumcised when he was in the womb of his mother. Thereafter, we follow the Sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam on many issues. When we come to the hadith now from women perspectives, there is a hadith which states that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived to Medina in his migration, he met a woman called Mu'atiyah is narrating the hadith. He met a woman who was circumcising the ladies, the girls. Then he said, actually, if you are to do it, then don't do it excessively. And talked about the goodness of the organ being there. Many interpretations have been given to this. Among them is that when the Prophet, where he came from, this thing he did not found. And in policy makings, you don't rush on issues as they are. Historically now, when it went now, we did not hear these things, continuity or whatsoever. We did not hear about the Prophet's girls being circumcised. We did not hear neither of his wives. From now, we have to go to the, you know, when we are talking about issue of perception and the perspective, the Islamic perspective, we have to go deep in analysis by analyzing the text. Now, in such a situation, you find now why, if this thing was actually a rampant issue, why was there a hadith mentioning that actually, if it is a honor and a nobility, why was we not talking about the Prophet's daughter being done, circumcised, his wives, the Sahaba's daughters and wives? However, we find that in the text of jurisprudence, which is fiqh, that the scholars say, our scholars say that actually, some of them even say both are wajib. And some says no, both are sunnah. Others say for men it is wajib and for women it is sunnah. Others, now the fourth view says that neither are they wajib nor they are sunnah for ladies, but for men is okay. This is now the position of fiqh. Where did they brought these things from now? You know, jurisprudence, fiqh is different from, it is the scholars perspective.
Yes.
There is hadith which says that إذا التقى الختانان, when the two actually circumcised organs meet, وجب لقد وجب الغسل, the bath is compulsory for them. Now the question to ask is, do the two the areas, the place where circumcised meet? They don't. That is not the positions. Now this one is very clear. The main issue is very clear.
Yes.
So we who have actually looked into the analysis of these issues very well, we find that there is no clear cut. Because this hadith which has been talked about when the Prophet said it to this lady, most of the scholars say this hadith is daif in its different texts. So if that is the case, then we are left with not having a single hadith for women's circumcision.
Okay.
What ulama was saying, this hadith which they are talking about, the two organs of circumcision coming actually in contact, we have the generality which is men.
Yes.
We have specific for men. This hadith is general and it does not talk about women. Then the scholars should come together.
Yes.
And beyond that one now, majority of Muslim countries don't exercise the thing, especially the Gulf states and the Arab states. In Kenya, the coast people don't do it. Historically, these things has been an issue of culture, we know very well.
Yes.
And it has started 15 BC. Very long time ago. Once it has started that way, it has, now when it came to now the Muslims, especially now, like if we talk of the Somalis, it came from Egypt. And Egypt is where actually it started from.
Yes.
That is the start of the whole the issue. And it was during the Pharaoh time when it started. If this is the case, then this is the position of the Islamic law. There is no clear cut on these issues. And the issue of saying Sunnah and the Wajib needs to be elaborated with analysis and a clear issue.
Yes.
Now what remains is that now that is the position of Islam. If this is the case, then we have the Kenyan law now, which came into inception 2011. It prohibits female FGM completely and criminalize it at the same time. This is now the Kenyan law.
Okay, Sheikh, I need to cut you there. We need to take a short break. Thank you so much for that and telling us that there's nowhere in Islam that encourages FGM. Now, we'll be taking a short break and we'll be right back. Remember, you can join on in this conversation that is following us on our social media platforms, that is at Horizon TV Kenya, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum. We're coming to you live from the heart of the city center. This is Horizon TV, the premier Islamic station. And today the topic of discussion is End FGM. In the first segment, I've had my guest here, Sadia Hussain, who is an activist. She's talked about her experience undergoing FGM. And then we have Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar, who is the former Deputy Chief Qadi of Kenya and also a member of the Anti-FGM Board. He also told us that there is nothing in Islam that states that FGM is right. And now in studio, we have Amina Dima. Amina, what is your perspective when it comes to FGM?
Thank you for having me, Aisha. I think to start with, I don't think it's anything anyone should go through. The experience is, I think it's really bad to the point that it traumatizes a kid from the point where they undergo the experience to the point where they're an adult. So from my own view, I think it has no basis in Islam to start with. It has no basis as a human being, because I don't see the reason why someone has to go through it. I don't think it's anything. It's not anything anyone should undergo.
Okay. Amina, where you come from, have you met anyone directly or indirectly who has undergone FGM?
Directly, yes. Indirectly, yes.
Okay.
And I think for directly and indirectly, either for both people who've undergone, and maybe for as an individual, I will say I also underwent FGM.
Okay.
And I think the experience was not really good. The experience was so bad. It traumatizes you to the point that you will not even want to hear the voice, the sound of, let's say, knives or anything that will remind you of the occasions. Yeah.
Okay, so Amina, what I can ask you is, were you forced or did you willingly want to do it?
Aisha, I will say you are not forced, but then you didn't have like you couldn't say no to it, because normally it's done to kids who are from 7, 6 years old up to 10, and by then you don't have even the right to say yes or no. So it's just it's like something, it's compulsory. You'll have to go through it. You have to go through it.
Now, Amina, if you don't mind sharing, what was the experience like? Was it something nice or was it something painful, and what effect did it have on you?
Definitely, it's something not nice. It was something really bad, and for my experience, it was really bad, because I didn't know what was happening by then. They just took me, and then you are prepared for it. then an old lady, most probably it's an old lady who will come, and then you'll find they do it to you. After the experience, it's really bad. It's painful. You're bleeding for quite some time. There are some things you're told you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, because you have to heal by then. And then in the long term, it had an effect on me, because I will not want to hear the sound of knives being sharpened.
That is now psychological trauma.
Yeah, like for a very long time, I will not want to hear someone sharpening their knives. I will not want to see someone holding razor blade or even razor blade cutting them, and even the sight of blood. It was really bad for a very long time, until at some point where you come to terms with it. But then for a very long time, it was really difficult. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Amina. And now I'll come to you, Sadia. Sadia, how has your journey been coming from a community that still believes in this practice? Some of them still believe in this practice. And here you are fighting them and saying this is wrong.
There is nothing easy when you want to go against a culture or a norm that has been there for decades. And for me, I used my own personal experience to challenge my fellow women and challenge girls to know what is awaiting them. Because the first deception with FGM, no one tells you what is awaiting you. You will only be told you should be clean and play with us. But no one prepares you psychologically. There is a cutting involved and all this. So for me, I had to stand firm and use the same religion they used to say it's sunnah, to make sure they understand that it's not there in the religion. And I always run even online, #FGM not my religion.
Okay.
And one more thing I want to tell you about FGM.
Yes.
Imagine the irony about the culture they talk about is that first, those who perform cutting are above 55 years old.
Okay, so that's the older generation.
Exactly. And when we look at the medical professionals, they retire at 55 to 60 years.
Yes.
So now my question is, why are these coming in to job when they are almost above 55? And they want to hold your girl, your daughter,
yes,
and perform the cutting without no experience, no professional background, and in let's say even in an environment that's not pleasing, because majority it's done in the bush. Another irony is this, my dear.
Yes.
Sometimes we want to talk about religion.
Yes.
And you heard what the Sheikh really said about FGM and religion. Now, my question is, when it even comes to the sunnah, there is a lot of sunnah that the Prophet used to do.
Yes.
Which among them is sleeping on the floor. He never wanted luxurious like mattresses and all that.
Yes.
But now, majority of Muslims sleep on mattresses because it's not harm not to follow some of the sunnahs. It's not harm. Secondly, because you're not committing a sin if you don't follow, right? Secondly, Mondays and Thursdays are sunnah to fast, right? But majority do not observe the fast. But now when it comes to mutilating a girl, the first word they will give you, the first excuse is, it's sunnah. So why do you want to continue harming a girl child in the name of sunnah while you don't want to perform the other light things in the name of sunnah? So you can imagine it's just a fabricated culture that is supposed to undermine the girl child and not necessarily following the religion. Secondly, we talk about culture all of the time. Go to the majority of the community that practice FGM. Even those who reply to my messages on Twitter are wearing a trouser and a shirt. Is that our culture, my dear? They're not wearing the ma'awis and the kikoi or the kikoi. That is our culture, which even gives us identity. But when it comes to female genitalia, if you cut me or you don't cut me, how will I justify unless I confess or give you my life testimony that I went through FGM? It cannot even give me an identity, because unless I tell you I went through FGM, you can never tell whether I went through it or not. And
Yeah.
that is not a culture that gives you identity. But we are now moving from the manyatas we used to live in, the traditional, beautiful, traditional houses.
Yes.
We are moving into iron-roofed houses. But when it comes to FGM, you will be told this is our beautiful culture. We should continue doing it.
So we are being very selective on what to follow and
Exactly.
what not to follow when it comes to culture.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that tells you that whatever that is selective is only the ones that are that oppresses the girl child. That's the selective culture we want to continue with. But we abandon the beautiful cultural ones, like the traditional houses,
Yes.
the traditional even attire. I'm dressed like a Muslim girl, not as a Somali girl.
Yes.
Because now I'm covered. For if I was to dress like a Somali girl, maybe perhaps I would be wearing a guntina that will be showing half of my body, and that's culture, not religion. So
Exactly.
for me,
So we just have to demystify between religion and culture. Thank you so much for that,
Exactly.
Sadia. I'll be coming back to you. Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar, sitting in the board, the anti-FGM board. Do we have enough policies put in place? Because we say it is against the Kenyan law, but yet you find 3 million girls are at risk today, every year, to undergo FGM.
Before I answer the question,
Yes.
the issue of, the issue of the Prophet sleeping on a mat should not be brought to the place because
Okay.
it is never sunnah. The other issue is, God, the Prophet said, God likes the bounties of Allah to be seen in you. If you have got enough and to do something, it should be seen in you. And nobody has said how to sleep is a sunnah or how he used to wear the clothes is a sunnah.
Yes.
Let us put that one aside.
Yeah.
The issue which we handle, the value, the cultural, as a sociologist, I know what actually culture means. And the culture is very dear. Who determines the culture is the question to be asked.
Okay.
The culture is determined by the people who are culturalists and still upholding it. The people who have actually transformed are not references to culture. Like now we come into the towns wearing trousers and those things. We are not the determinants and the references in cultural perspectives. The people who actually follow the original culture and they actually prescribe to it. The issue is prescription. Those are called the culturalists. And that is where this issue of circumcision came from.
Okay.
Who is also supposed, who are the people who are supposed to determine the culture are the older people and never the younger ones.
Okay.
That is from the sociological perspective, because this is a social phenomena. And the construct, the social construct is being determined by the older people. However, now, let us come from there and say in Islam, what I said was that there is the jurisprudential aspect of it that talks about it, it is there. I know my brother Lidome wrote a book saying that delinking FGM from Islam. I don't think that book was right.
Okay.
It is there, but needs to be corrected. What I say is, what the scholars have put there needs to be revisited.
Okay.
From now, the Kenyan perspective. First of all, this issue of human rights has started since 1948. This is the law, the international law, which actually we need to rely on it, on human rights, and which is also one of the reference to this issue is Universal Human Rights Declaration, which was enacted by the UN Assembly on 1948. From here, then, from there were many laws enacted by international laws. In regards to women, like the CEDAW, like a lot of, all of them in a cumulative form makes strange to each other.
Okay.
Kenya now being our country, beside being, actually it has ratified these laws itself, therefore it is a law. We also have regional laws and African laws, African charters and all these things. All these things in cooperation and collaboration did strengthen the issue of human rights. That is now where the battle starts from.
Okay.
That human right, is this issue a human right entity? And at the same time, is it a child right violation? And these issues have been coming up. Now, Kenya did also enacted some laws. And the law which was enacted, we had Children's Act. We have also the Constitution, like we have 55D, which talks about actually protecting the child and the youth also from harmful practices. And there now, 2011, the Kenya Parliament enacted a law, a legislature, which actually prohibits FGM. Thereafter, the board was formed. And this is the second now board members, which are now in office. So there was another one in office. Then the policies were enacted. This law is collaborated by other laws also in Kenya. And with all these ones now prohibits any harmful being done to the person, and then the right of every person to be protected as it ought to be protected from harmful practices. Now, the instruments, we have enough instruments to actually fight these things. The instruments from the legal perspective is very clear. This has been ejected by the presidential directive that 2022, these practices must end from the corners of this country. This is now a decree from our president. And we had the law there, which is there to be followed. Once you have the instrument, once you have a policy, and then the government has also taken, especially the ministry and the president, to that. These exercises should be fund enough so that it should not actually rupture any aspect of it. With all this, the funding, with the laws, the instrument being there, policy of how to do it. You know, last month we have gone round from the ministry, and the board also went round. Most of the 22 counties which are prevalent in the issue. We only have maybe Bungoma and the remaining Mandera. And we synthesize the people and we engage the people. The synthesization, that's the most important thing. So, with the president being the forerunner to this issue, we hope that by 2022, as the board, we are optimistic that things will get okay. And the way we are seeing, also analyzing how people are accommodating, we see that the president's directives will function.
Thank you so much for that, Sheikh. Now we'll be taking a short break and we will be right back. Remember, you can join in this conversation on our social media platforms. That is at Horizon TV Kenya on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Ninasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان. انتهى.
Ili kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu aliyemfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك.
Ungana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Ni Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika Horizon TV, runinga uipendayo.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Masjid Al-Amin Charitable Trust, in partnership with Horizon TV and Muslim Bikers, present to you Ride for Ajr. In support of Kangondo Mosque Children's Center, taking place on November 8th, 2020 from 8 a.m. For more information on donations and registration, please call 0714771298 or 0721162555.
Female genital mutilation is one of the worst forms of violence that is meted on young girls and women worldwide. FGM has severe consequences ranging from fistula, stillbirths, keloids, excessive bleeding, inability to deliver babies naturally, and even death. FGM is not an Islamic sunnah as many people would think, and this has been confirmed by senior Muslim authorities. Islam is a religion of peace that calls for the protection of human rights. FGM is a crime under the laws of Kenya. According to UNICEF, more than 9.3 million have undergone the cut in Kenya, while another 3 million girls are at risk of undergoing the cut every year. His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta has committed to end FGM in Kenya by the year 2022. It is the responsibility of every Kenyan to support his commitment by ending FGM in our households, communities, villages, and counties. Together, let us end FGM. This message is brought to you by the Anti-FGM Board.
Horizon TV, kurunzi ya taifa.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Real Life Talk with me, Aisha Khan. This happens to be our last segment. And in the first and second segment, we've spoken a lot about FGM, got different perspectives from my amazing panelists here. And I'll just come back to you, Amina. You know, before we took the break, Sheikh spoke about the procedures and policies in place. Did you know about them?
I think by the time I went through the experience, I didn't know about my rights or anything, but I think much later on, then that's when I came to realize, oh, this was not even supposed to be done to me. And I think it's almost the same to maybe every other single girl who goes through the same experience, unless maybe some other communities which practice it as maybe the girls are a bit older or something like that, and then they get the opportunities to run away. But I think for most of the Cushiite communities, I will say the girl is normally maybe young, they're about 10 to 7 years old, so in most cases they're not, I think they don't know their rights, yeah. Okay.
Now, Amina, facing this experience must have been very traumatizing to you, and I want to congratulate you for coming today as the girl child to speak to many other girls and ladies out there in communities who are still practicing this FGM, and you have come out very strongly. Now, Amina, what else are you doing apart from coming here today? Are you going back to the community to talk to other girls just like you, who are very naive and do not know what this entails?
I'll say not talking to the girls as per se, because in most cases they're not the ones who have the power to say either yes or no, but then talking to their parents and the guardians, who are the guardians of this parent, in most cases are the ones who inflict the girl through the experience. Yeah.
And how is the reception? I mean, you're a young girl going to this very old lady who knows that this is the right way, and you're just a young girl. You do not know what you're telling her. How do they take you?
In most cases, they will not even want to continue having the same conversation with you, because they're just like, it's something we've done over the generation. We don't see it stopping it now. And then they're like, what do you know? What do you have to tell us? But then Aisha, I've noticed also a new phenomena coming up. Like, I was having a conversation with someone, and then I told her it's not okay, don't let your child go through it. And then she just told me, sio uchungu, atapelekwa hospitali na it will be a painless experience. So you see the other phenomena with maybe things changing and technology coming and hospitals. There are people who are doing it even in hospitals, and so you might find they'll still want to continue doing it. So in most cases, they're not. If it's a medical practitioner who's going to do it, you'll not even know who's doing it. You'll just find like they've done it, and by the time you are talking to, let's say, you thought I'm going to talk to a specific lady to stop doing the experience, but then you are talking to the wrong person. She might be even like, I'm too old, I don't think I'm doing it at the moment. So it has its own challenges. As much as you're trying to do it, and some will be like very receptive, they'll say, haikunisaidia hata mimi siwezi taka mtoto wangu apitie. But then there are some who will be like, no, I think wangu nitampeleka hospital.
And I'll just cut you there. Coming to you, Sadia, there are some people, in as much as you've talked about the very bad things that happen, I mean the repercussions of FGM, you find that there are some people who say, I love this is amazing, and my generations to come will face FGM. What can we do about this?
For me, I believe in sensitizing the community about the negative effects of FGM. Secondly, it's about empowering the girls themselves to say no. And when we are talking about these girls, we are talking about the age of 5 to 10 years old. And for some communities, I know it's a rite of passage. So it's about telling these girls, how can FGM raise your age? Because there is no way you can become older by going through FGM. So it's about teaching these girls their own rights and the right to their body. Because a small kid cannot even consent or say what is good or bad. So now they are only doing this because of the community pressure and the stigma around FGM. One more thing is that there is a challenge I want to leave to everybody. And when we talk about FGM, it's very hard to explain to people to understand what we are really talking about. And some would even argue and tell you, Sahdi, why are you going against your own culture? But if today the scars were visible, maybe, perhaps, a majority of the people would come out and make ending FGM a priority. We are talking about 200 million worldwide who are survivors of FGM, and even more than 4 million women and girls in Kenya alone who are survivors of FGM. What if all these survivors were walking without their lips and noses? That's what I always say. What if the scars were visible on the face? Today, even the president himself would go to the grassroots and tell them, this thing is bad. But since it's done to a hidden genitalia, and I wrote a book about the hidden scars of FGM, because the woman is well dressed, she doesn't complain because it's a norm, she doesn't complain about her sufferings, they endure everything in silence, so nobody understands the pain. And this is the challenge I want to leave to everyone. Go somewhere, think about cutting yourself with a razor. How does it feel? When you even come across water, it's painful. What about that wound with urine? Just imagine, try to imagine from there, leave alone even the childbirth we are talking about. Our women, majority of the survivors do not talk about FGM because it has been normalized.
Yes.
And for me, it's really possible to end FGM by 2022 only if we all team up and collaborate. But if we do it like independently, everyone wants to go his or her own way, then we will never end FGM. And policies or laws alone cannot end FGM. The community must understand why they should end FGM. And I want to give you only 4 reasons. There are many reasons why they practice FGM, but I want to give you the 4 main ones that are cross-cutting. For my community, the first they use is the sunnah, which has been explained, so I don't want to dwell much on there.
Yes.
The second thing is the cultural part, which I already told you that it never gives us identity.
Yes.
So I don't associate it with the culture anymore. So we come to the issue of cleanliness, which I also told you about it, that there is no way you can become clean by going through FGM. You rather, in fact, involve a lot of bloodshed, and a lot of infections even in the future. And now the last thing, which is majority feel, is the issue around the sexual urge.
Yes.
They want to reduce or to curb promiscuity, or even rather preserve virginity. So we start with the virginity. Virginity, every girl is born with a natural virginity that is God-given. So there is no need for this artificial mutilation to preserve virginity. Secondly, we talk about the promiscuity. Msichana ataharibika. For God's sake, we are not milk or mangoes to perish. We are human beings who can follow. My faith is what can control me. If I believe in God, I fear God, I love my religion, then that's what can control me. FGM can never be a speed governor or a padlock. And this is the question I want to put across. For instance, if a girl is to become like the promiscuous as they put, there is a man involved. Who is controlling this man? Who is talking to this? Who is addressing these young men not to play with their sister's dignity? Why are you putting so much pressure on controlling this girl, and you're not even addressing the man who can impregnate a girl like 10 girls a day, when a girl can only get pregnant once in a year?
Yes.
That's a fact. And this is the question I'm putting across. Why are we so much concerned about a girl who can only get pregnant once a year, and we are not addressing the root cause? Who are the boys who can impregnate 10 girls a day? Why are we controlling only this girl, cutting and chopping off her genitalia just to control her sexual urge? That's my question.
Thank you so much for that, Sadia. Now, to wrap up the show, Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar, what is your parting shot to people out there? Do you think, in accordance with what the president has said and is committed to it, that by 2022, we will not have any cases of FGM? Is that possible? Very briefly.
Okay, the possibility, it is possible. Sadia has said it is possible. You are hearing, she concurred, if we work collectively. And you see now, the president has put the measures in place. Today, as we were going round, we were forming county committees headed by the administration.
Yeah.
This issue is interministerial issue. It is no longer an issue of public service ministry and again the ministry and or the president. So it is all out war from all over the government side. You see now, no county without now the committee. And it is now from up-down issue, from down upward issue, or from bottom to upward. And you see, up to the ward level, the chiefs were involved. This is now what the government is doing. The other thing, the collectivity issue, the board.
Yes.
Is involving everybody, including the activists and the organization. Sadia is one of us that we cherish her, and the other NGOs. and the UN organs. All these ones, the ministry is taking the step. According to the policy,
yes,
we are, once the government do that one, and already the sensitization stage has passed. Now, already we have seen that the urbanized communities of the Muslims are no longer now, it is fading away that concept. The issue of don't think that the issue of culture will just fade within shortly.
Yes.
But now, once the law is implemented and everything is being done, at the same time the culture is dynamic from some aspects, is also transformed.
Yeah.
And in relation to the Muslim, the other Muslims, majority of Muslims who are not doing, I think those people who held that it is a sunnah will understand, and we engage them.
Okay.
That we see that the board is running up to today to all areas. Korea, they were there and camping there. Kisi, they were all over these things. And then this time we have gone through. In addition to that one of the communities, which are actually the Kushite community, has already left out and criminalized it.
Amazing.
On 14th September 2020, the Gumigayo, that is the assembly, Borana assembly,
yes,
headed by Abagada, has criminalized the act. We went there, actually near to where it is being done, Sololo, and by 15th last October, 15th last month, and we found that the law which has been passed by Gumigayo, and that is actually the strength of the Borana community, that they are the lawmakers and everything. Once the Boranas have already, and they said that we submit to it,
we have won the battle.
We have won the battle, and we will win, and the president's directives will come realistic. That is what we believe. Don't, maybe at the pastoralists somewhere they may hide, but the towns, I will assure you, nothing will take place. And the chiefs were taken accountable for these things.
Thank you so much for that, Sheikh. Thank you so much, Amina, Sadia, and Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar, for coming today to talk about this very sensitive topic that is still destroying our girls and women. And may this conversation touch many girls out there, and may we save our girls and be a better nation. Now, the guns are out, the fire is on, and we just need to know that FGM is not an Islamic culture. It's not in Islam in any way. It is just culture. Now, it is for us to stand as Muslims, as human beings, and protect our girls. I've been your host, Aisha Khan, and this has been the Real Life Talk.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ushirikina, shirk, sihr ni katika mambo ambayo lao jina kama hili litatajwa, basi watu wanajua wazi kwamba hakuna mema katika haya, kwa sababu ni jambo ambalo lipo ndani ya mujtamaa, na tukiangalia kwamba wengi wamedhurika, aidha mwenye kudhuru na vile vile mwenye kudhuriwa. Lakini iweje, mtazamaji, ushirikina ukakithiri ndani ya jamii zetu? Kwa namna gani? Kwa sababu zipi? Ungana nami Rahma Swale ndani ya kipindi cha leo Chungu cha Stara tuweze kufanikisha mada hii, ushirikina. Lakini kabla ya hapo tupate mawili matatu kutoka kwa wakazi alafu baadaye niweze kuwakaribisha wageni wangu tuweze kulijua baini masala haya tunaoangazia siku ya leo. Usiende mbali.
Kitu ya kwanza tuwe na imani kwa Mungu. Hiyo tu ndio itatusaidia. Alafu kama mambo yameshinda, we can consult.
Ni hujafanikiwa kama ule mwenzako venye amefanikiwa, so unaenda pengine kwa kutafuta njia nyingine uweze kumshinda mwenzako.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba mtazamaji, na kukaribisha kwa moyo mkunjufu ndani ya kipindi Chungu cha Stara. Nafahamika kuwa Rahma Swali mtazamaji, na hayo yalikuwa baadhi tu ya maoni ya wakaazi kuhusiana na mada tunayoangazia siku ya leo ndani ya kipindi hiki, ikiwa ni mada nzito, mada yenye utata na mada ambayo imeathiri majumba mengi. Kumbuka kwamba mtazamaji, tunaangazia swala zima hili la ushirikina ama shirk kwa lugha ya ufahamu wa wengi. Na vile vile iwapo ulikuwa umeungana nasi juma lililopita mtazamaji, tumekuwa katika mada ambayo iliambatanishwa na hii ya leo, tukizungumzia swala zima la hasad ama husda, na tukajua mengi yanayofungamana na jambo hilo, sababu zake ni zipi, na pengine tunaweza kujikomboa vipi iwapo tutapata lile jicho ambalo sio jicho jema ndani ya jamii zetu, ndani ya familia zetu. Mtazamaji, nimekuahidi nitaungana na wageni wangu kuweza kufanikisha mada ya leo, ushirikina. Na kando kabisa naweza kumtambulisha Sheikh Ramadhan Muhammad ambaye ni msomi. Karibu sana Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Na vile vile nipo naye Zahra ambaye ni mama mlezi. Karibu sana ndani ya studio zetu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tumekuwa tukizungumzia hili swala, na kama nilivyokuarifu Zahra, tuliangalia masala ya husda ama lile jicho. Ni jambo ambalo linaathiri jamii kwa upana sana, na kwamba ni masikitiko hatujarudi katika dini kujua kwamba kuna ubaya katika swala hili. Lakini vile vile Zahra, tunaangazia ushirikina, shirk. Haya mambo kwamba iwapo tutapindukia katika husda na lile jicho ovu, wengine wakaona hawajafanikiwa, wanatumia njia sasa za nguvu zile za kishetani ambao ndo shirk. Na fahamu uko hapa dadangu, ni kwamba una kisa cha kutuambia. Pengine tukizungumzia ushirikina umekuathiri vipi?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, kama mimi hapa nimeathiriwa kwa sababu wakati nilikuwa mdogo nilipata kisa, sababu nilikuwa nakaa na mama mdogo wangu. Mateso, nafikiria mambo ya ukeweza mnaijua. Mateso, unanyima chakula, unafanywa nini, mambo mengi. Ni kama ule mama alikuwa shamfanyia baba hata mavitu haoni kabisa. Yaani nyinyi si watoto tena, kwa sababu mama yenu hayuko, nyinyi si watoto tena. Wale wake ndio watoto. Wale wake ndio wanakula vizuri. Wale wake ndio wanafanya kila kitu. Sasa na mimi pia kwa ile kuhangaika nikajipata mimi pia nishaingia kwa mtego huo wa ushirikina. Kwa sababu sasa nilidanganywa, niliambiwa nikiwekewa zile madawa sitapigwa tena, sitafanywa nini tena. Nikasema alhamdulillah. Kama
ilianzaje? Dawa gani unazungumzia, kitu gani yani?
Hizo dawa sijui ndio za ushirikina. Niliambiwa hiyo dawa ni nzuri ukitumia, ni ya kienyeji, utaikwa kwenye mkono na nyingine kwenye ulimi, hautapigwa tena.
Ulipata kupitia njia gani? Ilikuwaje yani? Tukirudi nyuma labda.
Kuna rafiki yangu, yeye alikuwa mkubwa kunizidi mimi. Kwa sababu tayari alikuwa wa kike, sababu tayari alikuwa shaolewa. Sasa unajua ile ukienda na mhadisia story yako, namwambia mimi huko kwetu nachapwa huku kwetu, nafanywa hivi huku kwetu, nateswa. Sasa kuna mzee pale, kumbe yule mzee alinipenda na mimi sikujua kama amenipenda. Basi huyo mzee akajaribu kumwambia mimi nitampa dawa. Sijui vile waliongea, lakini yule msichana aliniambia, nimeambiwa ukipewa hii dawa, kuna dawa utapewa na hutawahi kupigwa tena na hutawahi kufanywa kitu kibaya tena kwa maisha yako.
Na hayo ndio ulikuwa unataka kuyasikia wewe?
Hiyo nilikuwa nataka nisipigwe. Wewe unapenda kupigwa?
Umri gani huo?
Nafikiria nilikuwa na miaka kama 12, 13. Sasa nikaendelea kupewa mara kwa chakula, mara kwa hiyo ya kuweka kwa mdomo. Kila nikitaka kwenda ananiambia chukua hiyo ndio kafanya hivi, chukua hiyo ndio fanya hivi. Ya mwisho alinibeba. Ya mwisho sikulala kwetu kabisa. Nilikuwa nasikia hiyo nyumba haikaliki. Na nilikuwa napika. Ilibidi nikimbia niambie rafiki yangu, mimi naona leo sitaki kulala kwetu. Nitafanyaje manguo zangu? Nani atanibebea nitoke kwa hiyo nyumba? Na siku hiyo mamangu mdogo alikuwa mzuri. Ni kama alijua sijui nitatoroka. Alikuwa mzuri sana. Kwa sababu aliniambia tu pika hawa chakula. Tumaliza kupika, pakulia wenzako kule. Akasema sawa. Mimi niliacha chakula jikoni. Nikaenda. Kwenda baada ya muda si muda, akili kanirudi.
Ukiwa kule kwa huyo rafiki yako?
Kwa huyo bwana.
Ama kwa huyo bwana?
Nilienda kwa huyo bwana. Ile usiku alinibeba, tukaenda kwake. Nikaenda, nilikaa nafikiria kama miezi 6.
Miezi 6? Na ulikuwa amekuoa kihalali ama alikuweka tu?
Aliniweka tu. Nilikuwa mdogo, sijijui, hata sijui ndoa ni nini, unaona. Lakini kwa sababu alifanya mambo yake, ndio hivyo.
Ulighilibika, alitumia njia zisizo sawa.
Lakini Mwenyezi Mungu.
Alafu ulifanyika nini hata ukazinduka, ukajishtukia wewe hapa
ni babangu alisoma sana, alisoma.
Babangu.
Alienda kwa walimu wakasoma, akamwambia atarudi tu, mtoto atarudi.
Atarudi. Walijua wao ni jambo
walijua, wanamjua huyo jamaa, walikuwa wanamjua ni mshirikina.
Ni mshirikina.
Lakini mimi sikujua. Mwambia atarudi, achukue muda atarudi. Na kweli nilirudi. Na nilipokuja babangu ananiambia, nilijua ulifanywa kitu. Sasa nimekusamea, sitakuchapa, sitafanya nini. Basi ndio hivyo. Baada ule bwana pia kuniona nina mtoto. Siku za kwake. Nikakaa. Baada kuniona nina mtoto, yeye ni mshirikina tayari, kama mtia dege mtoto wangu karibu akufa.
Subhanallah.
Ile tu kuniona kanambia, umboliza. Kaambia akasema sawa. Nakwambia kupiga tu mgongo hivi kidogo, mtoto alianza kutapika, kuhara, kufanya nini. Tumekimbia hospitali. Tumefanya kila kitu. Ndio mwisho mama mwingine akaniambia huyu mtoto sio ugonjwa wa hospitali. Hiyo mtoto amepigwa dege. Tukaenda akatolewa hiyo dege basi. Kwa hiyo ushirikina
ipo. Pole sana Muzahara kwa mitihani uliokumbana nao. Sheikh, kwa kisa kama hiki najua ni baadhi tu ya visa ambavyo umeweza kuvipokea kwa njia moja au nyingine. Waweza kusema nini kabla utufafanulie haswa shirki ni kitu gani?
Shukran jazakillahu khairan. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain, amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Vile tulivyomsikiza Zahra alivyosema, yeye alikuwa na matatizo nyumbani, akajaribu kuzungumza na rafiki apate suluhisho.
Naam.
Sasa kumbe pale kuna mtu ambaye atakuchukua ile advantage, kampatia dawa. Sio ya kusuluhisha matatizo yake ili ati asichapo nyumbani ama nini. Alimpatia dawa sasa ya kumtorosha kutoka nyumbani kuja kwake. kwa madhumuni na nia ambaye anajua yeye mwenyewe. Ulisikia akituambia Umu Zahra alikuwa mdogo, hakuwa anaelewa chochote. Kwa hivyo hapo ni jambo ambalo alifanya yule mwenye kumpa dawa, ni wazi ni ushirikina, kampatia dawa ambaye kwamba sio halali.
Ni kweli,
alifanya
kama
madawa zake,
alimtumia,
alimvuruta yani. Kampatia dawa ya kumvuruta kumleta kwake. Basi yeye kafikiria anatoka katika shida, kumbe anaenda kwa shida nyingine. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio kazi ya ushirikina.
Wanamwangalia mtu pale katika hali yake kwamba anahitaji,
wanachukua ile advantage. Maana wanatumia akili ya mtu kabisa. Ndio.
Na tuweza kusema nini kuhusiana na hii hali vile ulivyoeleza? Naam.
Ushirikina kwa hali yoyote ile katika sheria ya dini ni haramu. Ni haramu kabisa, ni haramu. Mwanzo tukitaka kujua ushirikina ni nini? Ushirikina ni wakati ambapo mtu anaelekeza ibada ya Mwenyezi Mungu na dua, yani kumuomba mtu ambaye kwamba si Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Sasa unakuta anaelekeza swala zake, kuchinja kwake, maombi yake kwa mtu ambaye si Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Hiyo ndio shirki. Anamshirikisha. Yani kwa ufupi anamshirikisha Mwenyezi Mungu muumba wake na viumbe vingine katika ile uungu wa Mwenyezi Mungu. Ndio hivyo. Sasa na mara nyingi wanakuwa wanafanya nini? Hiyo shirki mara nyingi inaambatana na nini? Na mashetani. Kwa hivyo mtu huwezi mfanyia mtu dawa bila kuwa na nguvu ya kishetani. Lazima kuna shetani pale ambaye atakuhimiza ufanye vipi na vipi. Na ndio maana aingia akili ya ule mtu ambaye wataka awe muathiriwa apate kumchukua vizuri. Kwa hivyo shirki kwa njia yote ni haramu.
Ni haramu.
Tushajua shirki ni nini.
Lakini Sheikh, iweje haya mambo ya ushirikina, hii shirki ikakithiri sana miongoni mwa waja, kiasi ya kwamba wengi wetu tumeinukiwa tukijua ni madhambi makubwa mbele ya Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala?
Ni kweli ni madhambi, tumeinukia tunajua ni madhambi. Ila shirki haikuanza saizi. Shirki ilianza kitambo sana wakati wa Nabii Nuh. Na huyo shetani mmoja, huyo Iblis, ndo alianzisha hiyo shirki. Alifanyaje? Wakati wa Iblis kulikuwa na watu watano ambaye kwamba wakati wa Nabii Nuh kulikuwa na watu watano ambao kwamba walikuwa wanaabudu Mwenyezi Mungu. Ibada zote wanamuelekezea Mwenyezi Mungu. Kisha walipokufa, hapo ndio shetani akachukua ile advantage. Akachukua hiyo nafasi. Akaja kwa watu, akawaambia watu, hao watu ambao wamekufa ni watu ambao walikuwa wanamwabudu Mwenyezi Mungu, na nyote mnajua ni watu wema, na nyote mnawapenda. Kwa hivyo mbona msitengeneze picha ama sanamu yao kisha muwe mnawaabudu ili mtakuwa kama wao mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Hapo ndio shirki ilianza. Na aya kuthibitisha hiyo iko katika surati Nuh aya 23, wakisema a'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wa qalu la tadharunna alihatakum wa la tadharunna waddan wala suwa'an wala yaghutha wa yauqa wa nasran. Hiyo ndio majina yao watu. Hiyo ndio majina yao. Mmoja alikuwa anaitwa Wad, wa pili alikuwa anaitwa Suwa, na watatu alikuwa anaitwa Yaghutha, wa nne anaitwa Yauka, na wa mwisho wa tano anaitwa Nasra. So hawa watu walikuwa waja wema, lakini shetani alipigia watu picha wakaanza kuabudiwa. Hapo ndio shirki ilivyoanza. Na kwa nini imekithiri wakati wetu huu? Kwa sababu ya tamaa ya mwanadamu. Kupata kile ambacho huwezi kupata.